Good afternoon, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. We have an amazing show today. We have Mr. Alex Rasmussen, the CEO of Neon Canvas. And you know, on the show and on the series, we always talk about entrepreneurs that specialize in certain verticals, become the experts and the leaders in a particular field. And what Alex has been able to do at Neon Canvas is become one of the leaders in medical marketing. He does a great job with orthodontics. He does a great job with other medical verticals that we're going to talk about shortly, but he really has been able to put together an incredible platform for medical professionals to get the type of digital marketing that's specializes in what they do. And it's really interesting work that Alex is doing over at Neon Canvas. And Alex, I want to welcome you to the show today.
Thanks, Andy, for having me. Really appreciate it. Excited to be here with .com.
So this is super awesome. When we came across your website and we heard about the work that you were doing, we dove in and what caught our eye immediately is exactly what we talk about, that specialists win and generalists typically lose. And you have a winning platform with what you're doing in medical marketing. Let's pull the lens back just a little bit, Alex, and tell us about what you're doing at Neon Canvas.
Yeah, we are a full service marketing agency for orthodontists and other medical professionals all across the country and Canada. So typically when they come to us, they don't have somebody on their team that knows how to build a website, that knows how to write copy, that knows how to run Google ads, optimize their web search. I mean, there's so many things that go into marketing these days in your business that your typical director of marketing or marketing coordinator inside of a $1.5 million, $2 million, even $3, $4, $5 million practice is not going to have all of the skill sets they need to really put you at the forefront of your market, and it's all about market share. That's why we market. That's why we do digital marketing. It's all about grabbing market share. So if you want to be the leader in market share, you better have these things figured out. You better have a great website that's telling stories, right? You got to use video, photography, really smart content, and intuitive impulse factors that drive people to do what you want them to do.
See, that's really interesting. What you've been able to do for some of the physicians and some of the people in the medical field is really outstanding. You have some incredible testimonials that people just love what you're doing at Neon Canvas. I love your tagline, by the way, light up your brand. It really makes a lot of sense. So this makes all the sense in the world. Let's take a look at the orthodontics space just for a minute. So an orthodontist, they go to school, they learn how to do everything they need to do. The last thing that they're thinking about is sort of the marketing of their practice. And typically they don't have the expertise to even get started in that, nor do they want to do that. So they reach out to a company like yours that has this specialty. So when someone calls you from an orthodontics office, how's the conversation? What's sort of the onboarding process at Neon Canvas right now?
Andy, that's a really great question. And in every great sales organization, it starts with a consultative sales process. So the first thing that we want to help them do is understand their potential return on investment. They're going to ask them to spend a significant amount of money with us to market their practice. They want to know what they're going to get out of it. So the very first thing we do is we dive into their market. We understand exactly what their needs are. And we can tell them, hey, there's 18,000 searches in your Detroit, Michigan market for an orthodontist or Invisalign in your area. And if you want your percentage of the market share, here's how you can get that, right? And then we show them with Facebook and Google ads and search optimization, and then just typical conversion rates of driving that traffic in, getting 15 to 20% of it to fill out a form on your website. And then you get half of those to turn into patients. You're making really good money as an orthodontist or a plastic surgeon or someone in one of these nice medical groups at $7,000 to $10,000 as a pay for fee service, right? I mean, these aren't insurance companies paying for these services. These are people paying for it right out of their pocket.
That's unbelievable. On your website, you have an orthodontist that his quote is, he can't even take any more patients. So that's incredible work, what you're doing at Neon Canvas. So when you look at an orthodontist, is it a very geographically sort of condensed area that most orthodontists work within? And are you mostly working for those smaller orthodontists in a very small geographical location, and then working for the large orthodontist groups, to get their footprint a little bit bigger around the country? How does all that work?
Yeah, so I would say for the majority of the orthodontists that graduate from school, get their orthodontic degree, buy a practice, or maybe they start a practice from scratch, they that one person is typically going to cover about a 5 to 10 mile area around their practice where they can have a really nice practice. They can do $2 million and up. You really see some of the other guys that are very entrepreneurial. Maybe they've got a brother that's also an orthodontist or a business partner that's a buddy. There's two of them, and now they're opening 2 and 3 offices, right? So you may see them try to expand that geographical footprint. And those are more your $8 to $10 million practices. We have them both. We've helped the $8 million practice grow 20% a year, and at $8 million, you're going 20%. That's a nice clip. We've also taken the practice that's brand new, going into a marketing, growing from 0 to $1.5, $2 million, creating a really nice living for that orthodontist. So we've done it on both ends of the spectrum. I would say our sweet spot is probably right there in that middle. That $2 to $6 million practice is a really nice practice that's well funded. They can invest in these type of activities without kind of sweating it, right? They go home and sleep easy tonight knowing that somebody's working on their behalf to grow their practice.
Alex, that's awesome. Let's talk about orthodontic marketing just for a minute, because I'm thinking about the fact that you do such an amazing job getting the orthodontist website or practice out into the internet world, whether it's on Google or social media, content marketing, of course, video, text. You're the king. So when I think about it, what happens when they get a lead? Because I'm thinking they're running an orthodontic office. How important is getting back to those customers in a timely basis after you've done all this hard work to deliver the lead to the orthodontist office from Neon Canvas?
It is such a great question, man. I don't know if you've done this before or if this is your first time, but that's a killer question, because that's exactly what a huge piece of our service offering is making sure that they understand how important that lead is. If you talk to a lead within the first 5 minutes of it coming into your business, you increase your chances of converting that lead into a customer 10x. That's the Harvard Review Journal there that's done that study. So we've actually partnered with a company called Lead Sigma, and we have a stake in this company. We believe in this product so much that immediately when that lead comes through, the phone rings back to your main, your front desk person or the owner of the company or whoever that needs to be taking that phone call. And it says, hey, you just had a lead on your website. Press 1 to connect them. Boom, you press 1, you're connected to this lead immediately so that we can reduce that speed time to when you talk to that lead. From there, the follow-up process is very, very important. What if they didn't answer? What if they were busy? They called you at lunch. Now they're not on lunch anymore. Well, you need to be able to see that in a really intuitive platform that allows you to just click to send them another message, click to call, green, red, yellow. You need to know exactly where your leads are so that you can be not wasting those marketing dollars. There's nothing worse than driving leads into a client who comes back and say, oh, these are terrible leads. Are they terrible leads, or are you terrible at following up with them? That's the question.
Right. That makes all the sense in the world. So again, the orthodontic community, they're doing their thing. They're doing a medical procedure. They're doing some great work for their clients. The last thing they need to think about or worry about is how do they produce a lead for their organization and how to follow up. And with your system, with your platform, it sounds like it's a soup to nuts program where you take someone from the orthodontic community, you insert them into your technological platform, you do all the work behind the scenes to get them those leads, and then you also provide through another service an opportunity for them to have the highest chance to follow up on the lead and bring that customer in the door, which is what it's all about. When we think about what you do at Neon Canvas, are you driving phone calls mostly, or are you driving leads to the orthodontic community or to your orthodontist clients? Which one of those two is the preferable way in this space to deliver a lead?
Well, it's really both, Andy, because I mean, it's the old adage that the high tide brings in all boats, right? So as that high tide's coming in, the phones ring in, the web forms are dinging. Online chat is a great way to convert. If you're on Facebook, you got AI Messenger, direct messaging. I mean, if you are really running a well-run sales and lead organization and marketing campaign, you've got leads coming in from all over the place. So I would say it's a little bit of all of those. And I would say the reason that Neon Canvas has been able to take this to the next level over maybe what some other agencies have done is that our team each one of them is incredible at what they do. So I don't have a web developer working on the conversion button, right? The guy that's writing the text for the conversion button and picking out the colors and testing that, he's an expert at user experience and user UI design. He's not a developer, right? He's not the guy that actually knows the code. This is where a lot of agencies and really the question you need to be asking when you're talking, who are these people working on my campaign, right? Is my designer the same guy as my developer? Because if he is, I promise you he's not going to be as good at one or the other. So we find our team members who are really great at what they're doing. If they're working on Facebook ads, they're awesome at Facebook ads. If they're working on design, they're awesome designers. If they're working on copywriting, they're awesome at copywriting. And that's really the secret to our success.
I love it, Alex. Everybody's specializing in a certain area, and that makes all the sense in the world. And then you have an internal organization, an internal net at Neon that everybody's able to communicate through. When we think about local, when we think about hyper local, we think about a lot of things. We think about Google, we think about reviews, we think about Yelp, we think about social, we think about other organizations that are listing and ranking local providers. How important is it for your success to have the orthodontists that you're working with have good reviews online? How important is that in terms of this program that you have?
It's very important. And, I think about this as the table stakes. And again, this is where a lot of people get caught into, splintering their marketing activity. So they hire a web design company, but then they're paying some random company. Oh, they generate reviews for me. They send a text message afterwards, and then they send them in here and they do that. Ecosystem is not what Google wants, of course. And we're talking about, we could be Yahoo or Bing or whatever, but Google's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They want natural, organic reviews. And the best way to get that is to tell your customer base, especially in an orthodontic office, how important those reviews are to you, and let them know that and get those reviews organically. But while you're doing that, you've also got to have all the other things you talked about. Your Google My Business page needs to be updated regularly with new pictures, with new posts. You need to be using a system like Yext or Moz Local or one of these directory listing systems that just proves to Google that you are who you say you are. So there's all of these external links coming from all over the web that gives your address, that gives your phone number, that gives your service offering, and proves that you are who you say you are. It's all about building authority. That ranking 1 through 100 that Google puts in a SERP listing, they're ranking you based on what they verify your authority to be. And the more places that they can verify your authority, whether that's how many people follow you on Facebook and how much traffic you're driving back from Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and Google, all these places, how much content do you have on your website? How well are those blogs ranking that you've been, you got a content plan, you've been working on it for 2 years. Well, how many of your 500 blogs rank in the top 5 for the SERP you're going after? Those are the kind of things that can tell you whether or not your digital marketing plan is working for you.
Alex, and listening to you right now, any orthodontist or anyone in the medical field is listening to you and they're saying to themselves, I know everything about my field, but Alex knows everything about his field. So that's why Alex would get hired at Neon Canvas and his team to help the medical practitioners, including the orthodontic community. When somebody reaches out to you, Alex, and we're going to talk about entrepreneurship because I have a few questions I've been thinking about for you in just a moment, but this is so fascinating. When somebody reaches out to you, Alex, and you see that they already have a website, they already have an existing presence online. I know that a big part of Neon Canvas's thought process is the branding. And do you come across websites or people that, or orthodontists, where you look at it and you say to yourself, wow, no matter what I do to do my magic at Neon Canvas, once that customer gets to that landing page or to that website, that customer is just not going to want to take this right action step that we want them to take because it's not giving the right narrative or it's not the right type of branding. So as part of your program, when you have an onboarding session with a new client, do you oftentimes work on that branding and work on that look and feel so that when you deliver a client to the website or the landing page, that they'll take an action step in a way that's meaningful for your client?
Absolutely, Andy. I mean, that's the story. It's the cover of the book, right? You know, you never judge a book by its cover. Everybody's judging the book by the cover. That's what they do. That's why the saying even exists, right? Well, your logo and your brand are your cover of your book. And people are absolutely judging you by that. So if you haven't updated your logo, it may just be a font choice, right? That doesn't resonate anymore. It could be colors that are aggressive and not giving off the same feelings that you as a brand want to portray. So there's a lot of things that can be broken about your brand at any point in time in life. You know, we don't all have Coca-Colas out there, right, for our brand. So you have to constantly be looking at that, evaluating it, and making sure that your brand is telling the story that resonates with your audience and truly represents who you are. So absolutely, we've built hundreds of brands for orthodontists all across the country. You could go to neoncanvas.com/branding and see some of that work that we've done. We're really proud of it. Our designers love to do that. And we actually have a designer that's all he does, our logos. Now, all of our designers can do logos, but that goes back to that, having somebody that's really awesome at what they do, being in the captain seat there. So we're really proud of our branding work. It's definitely a huge piece of the puzzle, and it also wins us a lot of business.
That's super awesome. I love what I'm hearing, Alex. And something that you have at Neon Canvas that I call a USP, or a unique selling proposition, is that you offer a free digital marketing audit. And I really like that because people can reach out to you. They can reach out to you on your website. They can put the information in about what they're doing, what their practice is currently doing, their website, and you'll get back to them with some amazing insights about not only how you can help them, but what they can do in general to make their practice better. So you're really helping your customer, really putting your client first, really putting these orthodontists in the driver's seat to become much more successful, get a lot more clients, and close a lot more business, which then is going to help them and their families to grow and perhaps build their practice. So for those orthodontists that want to get this free digital marketing audit, how do they do it? Do they just go on your website, or where does that process begin?
Yeah, you just go to neoncanvas.com/audit. Very simple URL to find, and fill that out. Let us know. And it's really cool. That starts the consultative sales process. And the reason that we do this is because after you spend a little bit of time with us, we want you to be equipped, whether you choose to work with Neon Canvas or not, whatever those barriers are. We want to try to remove as many of them as possible. But if it's something like price, then at minimum, you may not be able to afford to work with Neon Canvas right now, but you're going to be equipped with the information, the knowledge you need to get yourself where you can be ready to work with Neon Canvas. And even to that end, last year we rolled out Neon Now, which is a lighter product. It's basically our, it's a starter project where you've got your great website, you've got your brand, you've got AdWords, you've got SEO, you got kind of the core main services you need to start developing return on your investment. So even the price barrier we're trying to remove, but that free audit, we're using 4 or 5 different tools from around the web to tell you exactly what your opportunities are, show you where your weaknesses are, and then give you a plan to attack it.
That's absolutely awesome, Alex. Amazing. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. You have built a wonderful company. You have people that work under your umbrella that are the best of the best in their individual verticals that they work within. Tell us, when you build a company like this, you probably have had some challenges along the way. And we have some younger entrepreneurs that watch the show. Maybe you could give some advice or some words of wisdom to our younger entrepreneurs watching the show about what it takes to build a company?
You know, if you really want to build a company, you got to have people. And I would say that was the thing that I struggled with at the very beginning, where I wanted the most talented people. And I had those. I've had the most talented people working for me from the very beginning. But what I realized, Andy, as I was growing that company, is that I needed talented people who were also bought into the same vision that I was bought in. So if you want people who are headed to the top with them, you've got to give them a vision that shows them what the top looks like. So it's difficult for me to say, hey, come in now and be a senior level employee for my company when there's nobody for them to manage, right? So I had to sell them the vision that, hey, when we get to 20 people, to 30 people, to 50 people, that you'll have people to manage in order to keep those people bought into the vision. So that's the first thing is if you're a young entrepreneur, figure out who your left hand and right hand are, your number one and your number two, and make sure you've got the right people in those places. And it wasn't until I had the right people in my number one and number two spots that we really took off.
That's awesome. And people are going to watch the show and they're going to say, wow, Alex has become a leader in this vertical. His company is doing great work. The testimonials are absolutely outstanding. Alex, congratulations to you and your team. It's really a testament of what you've been able to develop with your team, working with you and underneath you at the same time. So when we think about a company such as yours, and we think about the type of communication necessary to make a wonderful company, how important is communicating with your customers? Is that sort of the primary way in which you built this company, and how important is that concept that you get that across to the people working for you at Neon Canvas?
Yeah, it's that like practice what you preach principle, right? So if I'm begging my clients to have a content strategy, we've got to have a content strategy. And our content strategy is multifaceted. So we've got huge opens on our email list. We have email lists with over 50 and 60% open rates. People listen to us when we talk to them because we're bringing them valuable insights, and they know that. We're never spamming their inbox. So that's one of the first things that you have to do. When you go to our social media, you also need to be able to see that story too, right? If you're thinking about working with us or you are currently working with us, you want to know the people who are behind the scenes. So I think we do a great job of letting that come through on our social media also. Then I think what we do that's different than any other agency in the world, and I'm willing to give away this nugget, I've worked in a lot of different agencies and I've worked with a lot of different agencies, and they always make the account manager and the project manager the same person. I think this is a huge mistake. Our account managers at Neon Canvas are only focused on one thing, that's keeping clients happy. They are the client advocate. The minute that I ask them to start managing a project, their loyalties are split between that project team who's got too much work to do and the client, right? And all great project teams, if your company's busy, they've got more work to do than they could ever finish in one day. So I've got an entire team of project managers that manage that production team, and they're completely separated from the account teams whose only job is to be a client advocate and make sure that that client's happy. So if we ever lose a client or we've got a client that's not happy, I'm going to that account manager because that's their only job. Your only job is to make sure that we catch red flags before they're ever an issue.
I love it, Alex. And it's so interesting with startup founders that we speak with. Oftentimes they get so enamored with their technology or their idea or their thoughts that they forget about the single most important thing in any business is that client. And we love hearing what you're doing at Neon Canvas with regard to the clients. And they have an account executive that their only job is to make that client happy. And that's a testament to the success that you've been able to have with Neon Canvas. It's absolutely awesome. I have one last question because I want to ask in general terms about the specific vertical of the orthodontist space. How important has video and photography become with regard to this space? Is it the single most important way that an orthodontist can brand what they're doing, whether it's before and after pictures and things like that? to gain customers? What's the value of video and photos now in this space?
Yeah, Andy, I like to tell all my clients it's like a fist, right? Because the first thing that they want to do when they're trying to save money is, well, what if we don't do the custom video? Or what if we, what if we don't do social media? What if we don't run Google ads? If I've got a fist that I'm going to hit with and I start cutting off fingers, my fist is not as impactful. It's not as powerful. So don't cut off my fingers, right? I need all of the things. And video and photography starts with that. And again, I think this is something that Neon Canvas does that's different than any other agency I've ever worked with. Is I've got 4 videographers on staff. So before we even start a web project, a web design project, or start creating content, we fly out to the customer and we do 2 days of testimonials with their patients, doctor interviews, B-roll, headshots. We've got all the content that we need so that my designers aren't asked to just build some random story. They've got the story all together. It's been storyboarded. We know the shot list. We know the content we need. Then once it goes over to a designer and the development team, they've got all the tools they need. We're not building boxes and then stuffing pictures into them. We're visual storytellers, and we can't do that without great video and photography.
That's unbelievable. And for the orthodontists watching the show, you are an expert in your medical profession. And there are experts that can bring clients that need your services to the table. And when we're looking at all the testimonials and we're looking at all the phenomenal work that Alex has done at Neon, and we're looking at the people that are saying, the orthodontists that are saying, listen, I can't even take any more clients. Well, my recommendation to them is to build their practice a little bit bigger, of course, but that's just unbelievable. So if you're watching the show, reach out to Alex. I highly recommend it. You can tell by speaking to someone if they're passionate about what they do and they believe in what they do and they believe in delivering that high quality type of service to their clients. You get the complete package with Neon. And Alex, I wanted to thank you for cutting out some time today. This has been a great interview. We love talking to people that not only have the passion for their clients, but have the wherewithal to back it up. And they specialize in a certain type of a vertical, which you do. And by doing so, you've become the leader in the field. So thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Andy, thanks for having me. An honor, a pleasure. Great to be in your presence. Have a great day, man.